Thank you for watching our show. As you know, this is Pittsburgh Sportsline. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. We got Chip the Prophet Hayner. I'm trying to swallow the food, and Smoking Jim Frazier. Any more pizza left, Smoking Jim?
I got a slice or two.
Two. Very good. I'll put that up in a second. We appreciate you watching Comcast 7 in Bethel Park. As usual, we get a lot of feedback in the neighborhoods here, so thanks for reaching out and saying hi to me and asking about Chip and Smoking Jim. So we appreciate that. Thanks for watching us on Verizon 32, also in Bethel Park, and then we extend the area all the way from Nemacolin to Cranberry, Wexford. Just saw some people up in the Wexford area, and they said they watch our show all the time. And they said, we even know it's on 7 o'clock to 8, at least 5 days a week. So fans are out there. We hit a new high on our Facebook, 1,156. So Jim Aj, that's our news. 5,000, yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
You're selling yourself short by $4,000.
Yeah. I had to get that last piece of pizza down. We have a new guy in the studio, and Jeff said, you're on. We're like, you can't, you got to be kidding us. So this is live TV, folks. We've been doing this since October 11th, 2011. So we're going to start talking about sports very shortly. And we're going to start with the opening segment of What's on Your Mind. And we're going to do that right now. Smoking Jim Frazier, what's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
I got a nice green pen for you.
I was going to die for it. You got to see Levine.
Thanks.
But,
Thank
you. For years I've been saying that LeBron James was a choker. And he is one of the greatest to ever play in the NBA. But he's also the greatest choke artist of all time. And here's a little stat for you LeBron James lovers. Since the year 2006, in the last 5 seconds of the game, in order to tie the game or win the game, LeBron James is 5 of 47.
Could you repeat that again?
5 of 47 since 2006. And that's including last Friday's loss against Toronto. And that's only 10.6%. Kobe, in that same span, is 28%. And Kyrie Irving is 36%. And LeBron only 10.6%. But what's on my mind is the Pittsburgh Sportsline Male Player of the Week. And first of all, congratulations to the boys team, North Catholic, Aliquippa, Beaver Falls, and Pine Ridgeland for winning the championship. No need to clap for them. But in the Male Athlete of the Week goes to Pine Ridgeland's Andrew Pakash. He scored 23 points and went over 1,000 for his career in a victory over North Hills. The Pittsburgh Sportsline Girls Player of the Week, and congratulations to Vincentian, Bishop Canavan, South Fayette, and Norwin for winning. We can clap for the girls.
Smoking Jim, every child needs a little applause.
Yeah, the girls.
They work
girls.
hard.
Yeah,
boys and girls.
They're high school students.
Yeah, girls.
They deserve
Come on,
some props.
Smoking
Well,
Jim.
these schools
Even
here.
if they are from Penn Hills.
These schools here. But the Girl Athlete of the Week has to go to Vincentian. Kirsten Elliott scored 24 points in a victory over North Catholic, 68-54 victory. And that's what's on my mind.
Very informative, Smoking Jim. And the disclaimer is those are his own opinions, and he causes his own trouble. Because I respect everybody. I don't think you need a participation trophy. But when you do win, no matter what school you're from, Smoking Jim, I'm for them. Thank you. Chip, what's on your mind?
Oh, thank you, Alan, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to our humble little sports show on Tuesday evening. March 1st. What a great day today was, wasn't it? Pirates played spring training ball. The Grapefruit League
Hold it,
started.
my second sister Judy was born today.
Hey, there you go.
You guys
And
have
more
met.
importantly, the Pirates beat the Tigers in the first game of the Grapefruit League. I know, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't mean much. It's just nice to hear the sound of the ball hitting a bat.
I listened to
It's-
it on the radio.
It's the rite of spring.
That's not happening.
It's the rite of spring. And then, there's only one other thing that I'd like to just make note of. And when did the state playoffs start? Is that tonight or is that tomorrow?
Saturday.
Saturday?
I believe.
Yeah, there's going to be some PIAA playoff basketball being played at Gateway High School. The Gators are going to be absent.
I was waiting for it, Chip. I'm glad I didn't sip right when you said that.
But I like to joke with my friend
Wait,
Jim.
let me interrupt as a disclaimer. If this is the first time that you've ever watched Pittsburgh Sportsline, this is a personal attack on Smoking Jim Frazier because of his prejudice about Gateway High School.
Jim is not prejudiced. He's just passionate about the way he feels about his Gators, right?
And he's still a season ticket holder after all these decades.
So you ask me what's on my mind, and at the start of the baseball season, spring training, games are being played, players being evaluated, plans are being made for the upcoming season. I would like to tip my hat to Rob Manfred, the commissioner of Major League Baseball. It appears that he's getting off on the right foot and he's doing the right thing. And what he did today, I applaud his efforts and I applaud the union's efforts to support his discipline. But he disciplined the Yankees closer, Aroldis Chapman, for a domestic violence incident that he had last fall, which he claimed there's not going to be any charges. It's nothing to worry about. There's not going to be any punishment. Well, guess again. Major League Baseball thought it was in the best interests of the game of baseball to not condone this kind of activity, so they went ahead and suspended him for the first 30 games of the season. Now, that has a suspension that has got some substance. It's approximately 18.5% of the entire season, but it's sending a message that this kind of behavior is not going to be accepted. And, the Baseball Players Union hasn't uttered a word. Everybody, Chapman says, I'm not going to fight this. I'm not going to appeal it. I'm just going to serve my suspension because that's really what's in the best interest of the game instead of the individual. And this is where the Major League Baseball Union, Players Union, is far head and shoulders above the NFL Players Association. The NFL's Players Association wants to, defend cheaters. They want to, for lack of a better word, they want to defend hitmen who are
You could say criminals.
purposely trying to injure their union brothers. And of course, they do welcome in their fair share of criminals and everything else. But my point being, Rob Manfred, you got it right. That seems like a punishment that's got some teeth to it, and I believe it'll send a message to the rest of the baseball world. But you got it right.
Chip, this is a record for Pittsburgh Sportsline. I don't think you have supported a commissioner in any league
Hey,
that I can even recall. I was just thinking back, but this is the time, and no kidding on this one. I give him a lot of credit too. When I heard that, it's just fantastic because domestic violence is not a good thing against anybody, anyone, any animal, men, women, children, you name it. It's terrible. So that is a great step in the right direction with professional sports, who a lot of people do still look up to them. So that'll only help. And congratulations, kudos to the commissioner of baseball.
hey, the day that Rob Manfred said he wasn't reinstating Pete Rose, he became my guy.
And, hey,
Well, you have a mouthful. I timed that right, didn't I?
and I understand that too. No arguments from me, Chip. We may disagree, but on those couple points, we're 100%.
We found common ground.
Oh, man, we're at Mount Everest there. Nobody's getting us. I got some promos here. We'll test our new guy. We always end our show with Stay Joey Strong. Can you pull up on yours, Jeff, or should I hold it over here? This is about fundraising for, which one should I look at? They got any direction? This is live TV, so bear with us, folks. I'm right on my man here. Thank you. Can you pull in on that? Not just me. This is the Stay Joey Strong. It's the Joey Favis Childhood Cancer Foundation. If you could donate $1 or anything that you can, even volunteer at times. We're trying to beat this DIPG. It's a brain cancer, so I try to highlight it at the end of my show, but since I have some literature, there's Joey. Before he was sick, after he was sick, there's nothing they can do to help this disease. It's a death sentence. You die within a year once you're diagnosed. That's about Joey Favis. Thanks, Jeff. Then Olive Oil's Pizzeria, 412-831-1900. Call my man Zach there. He makes those great pizzas, guys, and the hoagies.
Very good.
He cuts it up nice for us to split up with everybody and share, Smoking Jim. That's what you learned in kindergarten. I heard it wasn't in Gateway, it was Penn Hills. They didn't have kindergarten in Gateway. Thank you there.
Yeah, they do. That's the senior high school.
Talking about right after a senior high school, I went to a basketball game in Greentree at the Greentree Sportsplex. Haven't been over that way since some fights and MMA and boxing. And the team it is, can you pull up in there? Steel City Yellow Jackets. It's the ABA. I was up there. They had a packed Sportsplex. It was fan appreciation, $5 tickets.
Nice.
So how can you go wrong? There were lots of families. I made some new friends that live in Greentree. Said I used to live there when the dinosaurs were crawling in the mud, and they said, "Where at?" I go, "Next to the Parkway." So they knew where it was at. We were right across from there. The game started out slow for the Steel City Jackets there, Yellow Jackets. I got worried because they were doubled and losing by about 10, 15 points in the first few minutes. Before the end of the half, all of a sudden their offense, it was just igniting. They were unbelievable. Ace Pippins was coaching them up. Milan was coaching them up, so it was nice to see these guys in action. No stress. They told me before the game this should be a good game. I told them I can only stay for a half, so I hope I can see some fireworks. Boy, did I. They have number 30, and can he jump? This guy, he's a white guy, Smoking Jim.
Wow.
6'4". I swear he could touch the top of the backboard. He had some jumps that were unbelievable. He could shoot, and he's not a starter. He's a younger guy, and some potential there. It ended up, second half, they just blew him out and win by over 15 points.
Kind of athlete that Jamie Dixon would never recruit.
No. And he actually wasn't from this area, but he went to like Edinburgh and maybe another school around here. So, but he's in the ABA right now. It's pro basketball. They're in the playoffs now. They needed to win to get into the playoffs, so we may see other games. We'll find out. So it was nice to see let's get one more close-up here. And they say you got to catch the buzz. So, and then Smoking Jim, as I'm leaving, one of Ace Pippin's relatives had come up here from Florida. He was trying to sell me some 50-50 tickets for the third time, and you know how I am, so I'm leaving too. So here he goes. That's Wiz Khalifa's DJ, and he was at their game. DJ.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't know, but he was DJing the game. So there's a lot of interesting characters at the games. Now we're going to do our next part of our show. If you haven't watched, we have different segments, and we're going to lead off with Smoking Jim Frazier. It's called Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And I tell you what, I'm going way back. I'm going to do a leap year. I'm going back to last weekend. And my fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac is the 2016 Aliquippa Quips. They went 25-0. It was Aliquippa's 12th WPIAL championship, which ties them for second place all time with Duquesne High School, that is no longer around. Only one behind the Great Farrell teams that won 13 WPIAL titles. Now they're no longer in the WPIAL. A shout out to the Hulk. Kazon Pugh, the Pitt football player, had a great game. How about 6'6" Chucky Humphreys? He's going to West Liberty. And for people that don't know West Liberty, they average 104 points a game, one of the most exciting Division II teams in the country. And my favorite player anywhere may be Jazier Jordan. I don't know where these brothers get their name from. Do you know where black folks get their names from,
Their
Chip? How about
parents.
you, Ellen?
Yes, I do. Their parents name them.
How come Jay-Z? You ever hear that name before?
I can't recall, sir.
And you know more about black people than anybody I know. But anywho, Jay-Z or Jordan is a player that I helped get into prep school. I think he's the best athlete that I've seen at Aliquippa since Darrelle Revis. Great football player, great basketball player. He is silky smooth, a great athlete. I tell you what, when you look into his eyes, he has a passion for the game. So he's going to go to prep school next year, and I'm going to lean hard on Narduzzi for Pitt. I've been a little easy on him. I haven't been getting on his case. But if he gives Jay-Z or Jordan a scholarship, I know he's the real deal. If he does not give him a scholarship after next season, then I have to talk about Narduzzi the way that I talk about all the other failed coaches at the University of Pittsburgh. And that's what's on my mind.
Wow, Smoking Jim, you're on fire this leap year. And you know it was the extra leap day yesterday.
Can I tell you a quick story before we
I
go?
hope so, because you always have good ones.
My family is mad at me, and I just figured out why. Right? I got family all over the country, and they were going to a wedding, and of course I didn't not want to go out of town down in Kentucky.
Okay.
But my young cousin renewed his vows. He's in the military. I salute your service, Littlefield. And he got married 4 years ago, and he renewed his vows. And I couldn't understand why he was renewing his vows on Monday, because he got married on a leap year, and he renewed his vows on a leap year. So, hey, you could have saved your money on that envelope by sending me an invitation. But, hey, congratulations again. I didn't know that. I couldn't understand. I just figured it out. Somebody
told you.
Somebody told me. I was like,
So
wow.
that was like his first wedding
It was
anniversary.
basically his first wedding anniversary.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll amaze you again, Smoking Jim. I'm with a couple people, and they said, this one friend of ours said he's only 10 years old, and it's his birthday, and it was yesterday.
Wow.
And they go, can you figure it out? I said, yeah, he was born on leap year.
I wouldn't have been able to get that one.
Yeah.
What is he in dog years or regular people years? What is he in human people years?
When I start talking to someone, do a little consultation with them. Okay. Folks, we're going to stick with sports. Smoking Jim is an expert.
Jeff Bodine, he's still in 6th grade. Huh?
He done graduated 6th grade. Come on, buddy. You've heard me say that. Folks, this is our comedic section here. And the actual funny thing about it is, I'm not going to pick on Smoking Jim, but he's actually telling you the truth. Just think about it. No, that's enough. Don't think about it. Let's go to Chip's Trivia Time. Chip, you ready for Trivia Time?
Yeah, I'm as ready as I'm ever going to be.
All right.
Well, last week, in the last couple of weeks, I've been going over Pirates history, being that we start with, with the start of spring training and everything, pitchers and catchers reporting last week. This week, the Grapefruit League starts. So when I left off in the summer of 1970. And the summer of 1970 probably led to one of the greatest decades, I would think, in Pirates baseball history.
Smoking Jim.
And this is the Pirate team that, I learned to love the Pirates in the 60s when I was a child. Bill Mazeroski, Roberto Clemente, a very young Willie Stargell. Because, as a child when I was growing up, there was no Steeler Nation. People didn't root for the Steelers. They were the lovable losers in town.
Really?
And they stunk.
SOS.
They stunk. Basically, if you wanted to watch a street fight, wherever they played that weekend, whether it was Pitt Stadium or Forbes Field, you'd go and watch, the other team come in, win the game, but lose the battle. The 70s was probably the greatest time to be a Pirates fan of all times. We won the division in 1970, and the unfortunate part was that we got swept by the Reds.
I love them.
And
Red Machine.
and the Reds went on, I believe, to lose to the Baltimore Orioles in the World Series in 1970. So we roll around to 1971, and as the season's progressing, the Pirates are fighting for a division title. On September 1st, Danny Murtaugh, the Pirates manager, pulled a first in baseball history. The Pirates field what is baseball's first all-minority lineup in a 10-7 win over the Philadelphia Phillies at
All
Three
black?
River Stadium.
Smoking Jim, we talked about this
All
every year.
minority. See, just so I can refresh your memory, Roberto Clemente was Latin American, okay?
Smoking Jim, we've talked about this for almost 4 years now. I'm glad it's sinking in.
Okay, so the Pirates would go on to win the division. They would go on to easily beat the Giants 3-1 in the National League Championship Series and go on to face the Orioles. And the Pirates in the first two games in Baltimore fell behind the Orioles. They were down 0-2 coming back to Pittsburgh. And Steve Blass would get the Pirates back into the series by beating the Orioles 5-1, allowing only 3 hits. Game 4 was another first for Major League Baseball and the Pittsburgh Pirates again. Game 4 of the 1971 World Series, played here at Three Rivers Stadium, was the first World Series game played at night. Bruce Keeson was the starting pitcher for the Pirates that evening, and the Pirates managed to beat the Orioles that evening with Milt May driving in the winning run on a pinch hit signal in the 8th inning to knot the series at 2 games apiece. The next night, Nellie Briles, who very few people have heard of Nellie Briles outside of avid Pirates fans, beat the Orioles again, probably pitched the game of his career. Probably didn't do much afterwards, certainly didn't do much before.
I heard of
but he
Nellie.
won that game, and then the series went back to Baltimore, where the Orioles knotted up the series 3-3, which led to Roberto Clemente's heroics in Game 7. Steve Blass pitched a masterful game. Clemente hit a home run to score the deciding runs. And to wrap up, the World Series MVP award, where he finally got the national recognition that he had never gotten before. He was recognized as one of the greatest players in the game of baseball, which was all great and well. Pirates won the World Series. It was their 4th world title, the second one for the great one, Roberto. And the Pirates moved into the 1972 season. 1972, they followed up their championship year with an equally impressive season, winning their 3rd straight division title. And on September 30th, the final day of the regular season, Roberto Clemente became the 11th player in Major League Baseball history to accumulate 3,000 hits in his career. And on the very last day of the season, off of John Matlack, pitcher for the New York Mets, Roberto Clemente doubled to right center field to earn immortality. The sad thing about it was that was the last hit of his career. Unfortunately, the Pirates and the world lost the great Roberto Clemente on New Year's Eve, 1972 into 1973. And, the Pirates still continued to be a force to be reckoned with throughout the rest of the 70s. I believe they ended up winning.
Was you at Roberto's 3008 game?
Pardon me?
Were you at that game?
No, I was not. I listened to it on the radio.
No, I missed it.
No.
The Pirates ended up winning, I believe, 5 more National League Eastern Division titles in 6 years in the 70s. 1978, the Pirates, Dave Parker collected the MVP. And in 1979, was one of the greatest years ever for the Pirates. Willie Stargell, who had now become known as Pops, in the twilight of his career, was down to playing first base because he didn't have the mobility to play in left field any longer.
Anybody can play there.
We saw
Except
that.
Pedro Alvarez, he's still looking for a job.
You mean he's not playing anywhere else?
Oh no.
Smoking Jim was wrong
Every
again.
time he gives me a shot, I'm gonna
That's an
respond.
easy one, though.
But the 1979, the Pirates ended up beating the Reds again to get into the World Series. Once again, they faced Earl Weaver's Baltimore Orioles.
They always had great pitching, too.
And they always did. And the Pirates went down in this series 3-1. 3-1, the Pirates were down. And, they ended up winning in the 7th game. Once again, Willie Stargell was the star of the series and hit a home run to score the deciding runs. Willie Stargell won the MVP for the World Series that year and shared the Sports Illustrated magazine's cover of Sportsman of the Year with Terry Bradshaw. Now, here was the sad thing about that year, is that Willie Stargell actually had to share the MVP, the league MVP, in baseball with Keith Hernandez, the first baseman of the St. Louis Cardinals that year. But, the 70s were a great decade for the Pirates. 2 world championships, 6 division titles. These are the Pirates that I grew up with and I grew to love. The 20 years of non-winning from 1993 until 2013 was kind of hard to deal with, but it wasn't the end of the world to me. Next week, folks, we're going to visit the 80s.
Whoa. And I think you didn't mention, I think Dave Parker was on the cover of Jet magazine with Sister Sledge that same year.
Well, what song did they sing?
We are family.
Jim, I must have let my subscription expire.
Again.
I missed that issue.
Again.
You don't want to miss the Jet Center Bowl.
I'm telling you, I thought I didn't miss anything, Jim.
Well, for Chip's trivia time, it seemed more like fiction and fact, only we got all facts.
Yep.
Except for a little bit of interruption from Smoking Jim Frazier. It was nice to reminisce. I do remember that decade very well, and it was the birth of Steeler Nation, too, so it was a great dovetail.
Well, Three Rivers Stadium became the mecca for football and baseball because championship teams resided there. 4 Super Bowl champions and 2 World Series champions.
Smoking Jim's quiet. He likes the champions.
And he still gave the 74 draft class a D-.
A, double A, triple A.
He couldn't do that. Nobody could.
Chuck Noll, all his draft classes were great in my opinion.
Uh-huh. Who was that, Huey Richardson? Do I need to say any more?
We're trying to educate you a little bit here. That I don't know on what, but thanks for watching. We appreciate it. For our on location, we'll be on location at Hollywood Lanes. Check us out in Dormont. You can come out there and bowl. You can come out and watch us for free. They have different activities going on. They have concerts out there on the weekend, so check it out. We got some great guests coming on the show. We actually have, if you remember, the great grandsons of Skip, one of our biggest fans. His great grandson, Smoking Jim, were there. 6 years old, 9 years old, and 10-year-olds. They're Taekwondo experts. A couple of them have belts. Well, we got their Master Zhang. That's his real name.
Wow.
We're going to be honored to have him appear. And we got a couple other guests coming there. I haven't confirmed them yet, but we'll have a great show. Come on out about 7:30 to 8:30, and you'll see a nice on-location show. So see you then. All right, let's get started with, we didn't talk Penguins at all. And with this Penguin segment, we seem to have no more power outage. We had 10 goals in 2 games. And it was just fantastic to watch some of that. And then Fleury has been playing out of his mind. But what's even nicer to see is he pats the post. And the post seems to help him on some of the stops. So I'd rather be lucky than good.
I'll tell you what, you ask any Hall of Fame goaltender, and the posts were their friends.
Yes.
You learn to use them and embrace them. But the Penguins have been playing considerably better hockey. They still seem to be mired in 8th place in the Eastern Division, which would give them the final wild card spot in the playoffs. And I just want to make sure I reiterate that because, if the Steelers make the playoffs and there's a wild card and the Penguins, and they're not criticized, then why are the Pirates criticized for making the playoffs as a wild card? But, they're fighting for their lives right now. Big week for them. I believe they got 5 games in 8 days. Yeah. They smashed the Phoenix Coyotes last night, and they destroyed them 6-0. They got rid of a problem player who has been a healthy scratch for the last 20 games, Sergei Plotnikov.
Right.
They, for whatever reason, he said he didn't want to be here in Pittsburgh. He wanted to go back to Russia, so they moved him a little closer to Russia, Phoenix, Arizona.
Alaska? Oh.
No, Alaska's right next door to Russia, Jim. Yeah. Geography wasn't one of his strong suits.
Math wasn't, geography.
But, so the Penguins have been playing much better hockey. Tonight they could end up being 1 point out of 7th place. They could end up in 10th place by the time the games get over tonight. because it's a tight race for the finish there. They just need to keep stacking wins, and they seem to be moving in the right direction. You know, I still have not seen enough of them to feel that I would think that they could be favored in any of a first-round series. The way they would be positioned right now to make it into the playoffs, right now, if the playoffs were to start today, they would have to play the Capitals.
And the
Capitals are the
very
best
tough.
team in hockey right now.
Yeah.
So, you know, they don't match up well against them. Then the second place team is the Rangers. And, well, you know who's given us the exit ticket out of the playoffs the last 2 years in a row is the Rangers.
Are you glad the Penguins didn't follow your advice and get rid of Fleury?
He was waiting for a bomb.
Well, you know what, Jim? I'll tell you what. We'll see how the year
Give me
goes.
the big names. I like the big names. They sell tickets.
You know what? What do you want to do? Sell tickets or win championships?
Both.
See, because you win championships, they come. See,
Smoking Jim's in rare form this year. I don't know what happened. He hasn't watched a hockey game yet, but he can throw the bombshell.
but you know, Sidney Crosby's been playing like the way
That's one of the
you would
key
expect.
things, yeah.
The way you expect the best player in the world to be playing, he's playing very, very well, and the people around him are playing well too. I just don't know why there was a power outage for the first 40-some games of the year.
Needed a new coach. They got it.
You know,
Well, their shelf life is about 4 years, and we know that
he learned from the master.
I like
The
this
owner,
coach,
yeah,
yeah.
the owner was the master at making coaches go away. I mean, he got the greatest coach in NHL history fired, Scotty Bowman.
Yeah.
So you know,
Hall of Famer. That's
Well,
what-
Herb Brooks was my favorite, but of all
how do you
time.
even know his name?
That's-
because he saw the movie Miracle on Ice, right?
With Kurt Russell. He thought that was Kurt Russell there.
So you know, we you know the Penguins. You know, a lot will be determined here in the next week with what the Penguins are doing. 5 games in 8 days. You know, let's see what they do. They dropped the puck tonight. The game should be started by now. They've
Yeah.
got Alex Ovechkin, and the Capitals have really, really pulled it together this year.
They have. They look like winners from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it is. They look like a horse smoking Jim that went out for the lead and is not giving it up. And I'm proud of the Penguins because as a team they're playing gritty. You just had Malkin, you know, was off. Now he looks like he's starting to come back after he played last night. Looked a little better, was close. So I think he may get a goal tonight. And his line is playing super there.
Well,
So-
you know,
and that's the coach
he's
who
been-
put that
He's
together.
been playing against one of his buddies, Ovechkin. That should
Yeah.
raise your level of play.
It usually does. They've even fought.
But you know,
so-
last night they had Fleury in, and Fleury was as good as a goaltender can be. I mean, you get your 43rd shutout of your career.
Yeah.
You know,
Fifth
and
one this year,
tonight-
30 shots.
tonight Murray's in net. They're giving Fleury. Personally, myself, I'd have put my best against their best, but you know, they seem to have a better grasp of things than I do.
Even Barrasso used to get a night off every once in a while.
Where do you pull these names out? Smoking Jim. It's shocking. We have Devin here appearing out of nowhere. What's going on, Devin? You got any scores with the Penguins? Didn't they start at 7:30? Devin Shea's the best cameraman in BPTV. So, well, thanks for coming in and observing us. We're going to talk some more sports.
No score yet.
No score for the Penguins. Oh, and Chip, thanks for letting me read about Chapman there.
Yeah.
Because it's also like a sort of power play between them. Because if they would have given him more games like they wanted to, he would have still been, a free agent for another year. So there's a lot of financial things that are involved in it. He still said, and I quote him in there, that he did not hurt his girlfriend in any way, but he decided to do this and just to move on with it and take his punishment, basically. So very interesting. I got to give the commissioner more credit than you did because after reading the insights to it, so thanks for showing me that, Chip.
Well, you know,
Appreciate
the fact of the matter is, fighting a charge like this, it's one of those things that everybody loses. There's no winners in this, none whatsoever. You know, it hurts the sport, it hurts the athlete, it hurts the team. So I mean, when something like this happens, they hand down the punishment.
What happened?
Well, he beat up his girlfriend.
Wow.
Okay, in a domestic violence case, he beat up his girlfriend. Then he fired off a gun inside the place. You know, it's There's no cause for that, and especially people that are in the limelight that are making these huge mega million deals. They have to hold themselves to a higher
not
standard.
above the law.
Yeah, I don't care what anybody says. They do need to carry themselves a little differently than everybody else.
They're role models.
Well, whether they want to accept it or not. For example, Cam Newton acted like a spoiled little child after losing the Super Bowl.
Which I predicted. Mm-hmm.
Well, dude, you accepted a $100 million contract. You accepted all of these endorsement deals, and you're going to be the face of this and that. You need to be a man and take your lumps like the rest of us have in our lives. All right, so it didn't go your way this one time. It
was a great season.
Tomorrow's good. Tomorrow the sun's coming up.
Yeah, we got music on it. We got sound effects now.
Yeah,
you can't beat that.
That's an update from Channel 4.
No doubt. Hey, I want to interrupt what we're doing. Smoking Jim,
Yes, sir.
You're always announcing things. Now, I know you announce basketball games. Can you give us any insights about the game? I know you gave us Players of the Week for Pittsburgh Sports
the
Line.
basketball games? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll go to boxing a little.
Yeah, I was there from start to finish.
I know. I just wanted a little update on that because I got to read your stories when you come out with that.
Did you get a little nosh? They give you a snack?
Yeah, they fed me good, but
They catered it for him.
but I tell you what, the fans from Aliquippa was unbelievable.
And tell the folks where you were at.
I was at the Pitt Peterson Event Center, which is the closest thing to Walmart I've ever seen with all the beams. Very overrated arena, but anywho, the Aliquippa fans. And if anybody knows anything about Aliquippa, nobody ever leaves Aliquippa. Everybody who is ever born there is still there, and they travel very well. And I tell you what, these players got a lot of pride. Their goal is to get that championship banner hanging in the gym because it will never be taken down. And I tell you what, they were going back and forth because Lincoln Park is Midland, and it's only 6 miles away. And one of Lincoln Park's best players live in Aliquippa because it's a charter school, so they can bus people in from anywhere. And Aliquippa wanted to play Lincoln Park for a long time because Lincoln Park was in a lower classification, and everybody was saying they could beat Aliquippa, and they finally got their opportunity, like they'll get their opportunity in football against Clairton next year. But the fans at the end of the game was telling the fans from Lincoln Park, get your hat, get your coat, and go. And only how Aliquippa can say it. But I tell you what, I'm a girls basketball fan. I think the women play an outstanding brand of ball. They work hard. And North Catholic is an outstanding program. And I tell you what, North Catholic versus Vincentian, in the last 10 years, they pretty much split up the championships. And North Catholic played their hearts out, but Vincentian will start pressing you as soon as you come out of the tunnel. And they was able to foul out some key players for North Catholic and win that particular game. But my favorite team is Norwin. Norwin has a girl that's going to Pitt, and she played on her home court. They're undefeated, but they was down big. Paul Zeiss's daughter, Hillary Zeiss, plays out there, and she played an outstanding game. She's only a junior.
She plays in Norwin?
She plays at North Allegheny.
I was going to say, I
Yeah.
thought because his son played up at North Allegheny.
Yeah, they
Okay, I was
yeah,
gonna
all
say,
of
wait a
that.
minute, was he-
Yeah, Chuck Sanders' son play. Yeah, Curtis Aiken's son play. So
All
they
right, enough of that
Yeah, they
smoking.
got
Yeah, they're stacked.
yeah, they do a little recruiting, but
Little page out of your book.
yeah, I've never known brothers that wanted to go that far north, but the Norwin got an outstanding program. They're undefeated. They're looking to win a state championship, and I tell you what, they just moved that ball around, and they execute very well. Winning the overtime, Al Levine, the Taka machine.
Are you
And
serious?
Norwin was down. They had to go on a 19-6 run in the fourth quarter to tie the game, to send it to overtime. And I tell you what, I was on the edge of my seat. I had my popcorn the whole time. And but in boys action,
Yeah.
the other boys game would have been who? But
I don't know. You
oh,
were there.
the other boys' game was
there.
Pine Ridgeland.
Okay.
Pine Ridgeland does an excellent job. They got the sophomore quarterback, Phil Jerkovich.
Was he?
And,
I was going to
yeah.
ask you if he's playing.
Yeah, he's a big-time basketball player, but they play him at forward, and the guards really took control of the game. And I tell you what, they have a coach from Pine Ridgeland that coached at Moon Township, Ackerman, I believe it is.
Oh, yeah?
And he coached Moon Township before he got fired to 3 straight WPIL championships, and the only other team to do that was a Newcastle team. And he still got fired, but he's a
Maybe
basketball
he's going to be a future
guru.
guest.
Yeah, he's going to be. We'll get him in here as a guest, as we will so many other teams.
To kind of speak to what you were talking about, talking about the girls' basketball game.
I love it.
And I really love watching the women play. I don't watch a lot of basketball until we get into the tournaments.
Right.
Sure. Okay, just to be honest with you. But I do enjoy watching the women play because they play a game that's below the rim. And, everything's predicated on making crisp passes and ball movement and playing real solid defense, which, you really have to play the game, the right way because, in the boys, you got these guys that are jumping from the foul line and jamming it into the hole and stuff like that. You don't see that in the women's game, but you definitely see more strategy.
Although my only gripe is I like to empower women. I like to see more women head coaches. Too many men are head coaches of the women's team. Nothing against our good friend Big John Tate and some of the other men, Moncrief, who's coaching Vincentian. But I would like to see more women getting the opportunity to coach the girls' team or getting the opportunity to coach some of the boys' team. Fair is fair.
Great point,
Why
Smoking
not?
Jim.
Why not? I mean, they've got women now coaching in the NFL.
Which is a joke.
Well, to change
Let's not go
subjects,
overboard.
Apparently,
Let's not go overboard.
apparently not for the genius.
to change it up a little, I got an update on the Penguin game. They didn't start yet.
Okay.
Okay, they don't start. I think it may be an 8
Wait till
o'clock
after our
start.
show.
Supposedly 7:30.
Yeah, he said they didn't start yet. Oh, he's texting me. He shouldn't do this.
Ice is melting. They can freeze it up.
They just started. We got the announcement. They just started. Don't change that down. All right. Hey, Smoking Jim, I got another question.
Yes, sir.
I heard that you were able to go do some boxing.
Yeah.
Golden gloves.
Yeah, right after the basketball game, I sprinted down the highway and was able to go on Route 88. And
Is that 51 too? So that you could
yeah,
go to the Royal
51,
Place?
And I get in there, and who's already sitting there but a friend of the show and the future Pittsburgh Sports Line Hall of Famer is Eureka Mangrano.
I don't even. I can't even figure out.
Yeah,
the
but
name.
she looked great. She looked great in red. She just got a sponsor.
Irene.
Irene. I call her beautiful.
Well, I
She's
know because you can't say her name.
drop dead gorgeous and all red. And the reason she wore red, even red lipstick, is because she is this close to being a professional bodybuilder in the bikini classification. And she got a new sponsor, and her sponsor does not know whether they'll put her in her traditional yellow or red. And my vote is red. She looked that good. But the fight,
boxing. By the way, boxing.
yeah, by the way,
Golden gloves. These kids work hard.
Oh yeah, I forgot. The boxing was actually good, but there was 5 cancellations. But there's a young kid. What do you call them? Latin Americans.
There you go.
He was. He's lighter than you, so I'll give you that one. His name is Francisco, and he is tough. I tell you what,
His
he
last
worked
name,
hard.
first name, middle name.
And he's, that's one of the names. And I tell you what, he's from Mark Schrader's gym. And this guy interviewed him. I tell you what, he's a classy guy, a gentleman. He beat
What
up
guy
a brother.
interviewed
He
him?
beat up a brother pretty good. And the
Okay.
brother that he fought, they were in the cadet category, 16 and under.
Okay.
And I tell you what, the brother was so upset. I mean, Francisco's a southpaw, and the brother just couldn't get away from that left or the right or anything. I mean,
Thanks,
he beat him
Jim.
pretty good. But after the fight, The brother was upset. He was throwing a temper tantrum. He was kicking around, and Francisco went over to him and he shook him off. And Francisco turned him around and hugged him, and the brother hugged him back. So this is a great leader. He also was in the corner. They got a heavyweight.
Okay.
It's basically a punching bag. But the heavyweight, older guy, he's got tattoos all over. He ended up winning the fight, but Francisco was in his corner with Mark Schrader and was giving him some instructions. And I tell you what, keep an eye on that kid. If I get his first or last name, I'll let you know. But one of the names is
I
Francisco.
think it's Miguel.
Miguel, you know him?
No,
Okay.
but I can read.
All right, there you go. But excellent. I tell you what, he got the fight of the night. Also, there was a young brother we predicted. I call him Action Jackson. That's
Yeah.
his last name. And he looked very, very good. They had to stop the fight in the second round. So there was two really promising guys that got future great potential.
Well, thanks for that report, Smoking Jim. You're out there doing all these announcing. We need some of that expertise in here. I'm glad you recalled all that.
Well, there's going to be some, what is that, the Golden Gloves this weekend down at...
Well, here, I have something for you to pull this up. We're going to make Jeff work a little bit.
All right, Jeff, my man from
Here is
St.
the
Mary's,
schedule
PA.
for the Golden Gloves this year. We have a flyer. This is the first time we've ever got it this early.
I want to go to
I think they're
DuBois.
fighting down at the gym in Carnegie.
Yes, they
This-
are.
this
The
weekend.
Wolfpack.
Yeah.
There'll
You
be
coming
a
down?
Wolfpack.
I believe we have
Thanks, Jeff.
other plans.
Appreciate
I'll have
that.
to check with the boss.
Yeah, they'll be at the Wolfpack this week. Then they're going up to out to Johnstown. Then DuBois, our friends up there, Scott Brigger and Aaron Beatty. They're always inviting us up there. We just can't seem to figure out a 2.5-hour road trip and how we can get back at any type of time.
Bring a deer back with us.
Well, they'd supply you with deer. You could have venison. They've told me already. And then they'll be at the North Hills on April 2nd.
It's always good.
April 3rd, they'll be in Smoking Jim's favorite area, Erie, Pennsylvania. April 9th, Three Lakes Golf Course. That's when Smoking Jim let me make a debut about 4 years ago to announce some boxing. So I
Did
appreciate
a great
that.
job.
Erie, that's where Alderdice dismantled somebody
Erie
last
Central.
Saturday.
As well they should. I was going to try to ask Smoking Jim
They
about
won
it
like
because
they
I saw
won by like what 60 points
yeah, there
or
was,
something.
there
They
was
crushed
no
them.
doubt. No
Shouldn't have
doubt.
had to play that game.
Well, like I say, it's the rules, and maybe they have to revisit the rules on what goes on
yeah.
because there's definitely a difference between the City League, the rest of the state.
Yeah.
For some unknown reason, it's been
But
traditional
why
that
why
way.
is the girls an automatic bid
Well,
and the boys not?
That's part of. You made a great point about it, and we'll try to get some experts and get their opinions
Yeah.
on it and the facts because it isn't right.
The
They shouldn't have
the
to
best
do
way
that.
they could bring no to it is win that state title.
Well, they
Like
will.
that. That's it.
There's no doubt. They have the athletes. They got the experience.
And I
It's
like
their
Pew.
time.
Pew's my man. I like him.
He's a soccer player. I didn't
Yeah.
think you'd like a soccer guy.
Yeah.
6'8".
So,
I like their coach, buddy.
me too.
So
Good family, man.
definitely.
So hey, just to get us moving along in the sports vein, Pirates today seemed to be no shortage of power for the Pirates.
Yeah.
They had 2 home runs hitting the game. Francisco Cervelli and Jordy Mercer each rode one out of the ballpark. But they won 4-2 against the Tigers today. I know it doesn't mean much of anything. It's a grapefruit league.
You have to explain grapefruit again to
Yeah,
me.
the Grapefruit League is there's the Cactus League, and that's in Arizona because there's a portion of major league teams that have their spring training in Arizona.
Okay.
And they're usually all within 10 miles
Yeah.
of one another.
Yes.
And then there's the teams that have their spring training in Florida, hence the Grapefruit League. Their games
I
being
wonder why they call it the Orange League. Huh?
They're too small. Grapefruits are bigger.
Jim, I will find out the answer for you.
That could be on trivia time next week.
But the Pirates had to take a drive, 2 or 3 hour, about a 2.5 hour drive up to Lakeland to play the Tigers, and then they'll playing them at McKechnie tomorrow.
Good
So,
football in Lakeland. Yeah. That's where the Ponces played high school ball.
Yeah.
Aaron Hernandez.
yeah, he was a star. Retired his number.
Yeah. In prison.
Yeah, so did the state of Massachusetts.
Yeah, it's not really good. No doubt. Well, hey, Chip, since we're on baseball again, do you think the hitting is ahead of the pitching or is the pitching ahead of the hitting? It's always a question they
You know,
ask.
that's
Pirates
always
don't
the
have no
question
pitching.
they ask, and I don't think the pitchers really start developing their good stuff. You know, they come in, they start working on their mechanics, they start working on building up their arm strength. You know, so I would say that the hitting should be ahead of the of the pitching at this point, working themselves into shape for
Right.
for the season because. You know, one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to wear your arm out in the off season because
not at all.
you know you've got a 6 month season. There's a lot of games played, 162.
Is it
Yes.
true? Is it true that the cheap Pirates are only paying their ace pitcher $500,000 this year? That seems a little
Yeah,
low.
do you understand why they are, Jim?
Because they're cheap.
No,
As per
has
contract,
nothing
yeah.
to do with
In the
that.
league, the
And
union.
this is because this is the agreement that the Major League Players Association and the owners have agreed on. For the first 3 years, the team has control over your salary. Okay, the next 3 years, the players get some semblance of control because they become arbitration eligible. And do you realize if Pedro Alvarez would have stayed with the Pirates as miserably as he played last year, and as many runs as he was responsible for giving up, he would have gotten a raise this year? Okay, because that system is flawed. So, if he's not happy with what he's getting paid, you know what? This is the. He signed a contract to play Major League Baseball. These are the rules that you agreed to play by.
Well, here's the reason why I call the Pirates cheap. Because they're paying him $24.5 million under his value, and they're not using that $24.5 million to bring in anybody.
Okay.
Hence,
Okay.
cheap.
But answer me yes or no on this.
Wild card.
Are the Pirates one of 3 baseball teams in the major leagues that have made the playoffs the last 3 years in a row?
Satchel Paige should know because there was
Okay.
no wild cards before a few years back.
So-
I don't
so-
count that.
So the
And then how
answer
many
to the
teams
question
play?
is yes.
Huh?
How many teams
Okay.
played?
So the Pirates, for whatever you say that they're not doing, here's what they are doing, just to clue you in. They're winning. They've won the last 3 years in a row,
One and done.
and they're going to continue to win.
One and done.
Okay. Hey, 29 teams failed last
Another
year.
$24 million, they can get to the World Series.
Well, here's some of the
They
point.
don't need that money to
Can't
get
say-
to the World Series.
Smoking
They didn't get-
Jim.
Wait, wait, do you not pay attention to anything?
They didn't get to the World Series the last 3 years you're talking about.
Right, but they made the playoffs, didn't they?
One and
You
done.
got to get to the playoffs before you can get to the World Series.
In
In
another
20
24
years, they
another-
didn't. 20 years they didn't make it to the playoffs.
And now-
you can't give them credit for anything.
I give them credit. I
No,
give
you
them
don't.
credit. I give them credit for getting ready to run McCutcheon out of town because they're
Here,
not going
ding,
to pay him.
ding, ding, ding. Folks, this will be continuing all season long, but I did want to interject one thing in here. Contracts are compromises, Smoking Jim. You used to have a system where baseball players were owned by the owners. They would not let guys go anywhere else. You heard the story last week about Ralph Kiner. Led the league in home runs for how many years, and we could still lose 100 games with you.
Kurt Flood.
So we don't need you. Kurt Flood, you heard me drop that name. Somehow Black History Month, you didn't bring that up. One of the greatest guys that revolutionized baseball. This created an imperfect situation like Chip talks about. Not every player is a great player his first or second year or third year. They allowed for that. It's like a compromise. So 3 years you're owned by the team. The next 3 years you got free agency possible and arbitration.
This pitcher's still young.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And to be very honest with you, for as much as you're
Looked like his arm gave out towards the end of the season.
as well as you are trying to,
How's it
make
working
people
out?
believe that Garrett Cole walks on water. Okay, he really hasn't accomplished anything yet. He's an up and coming young arm. He hasn't accomplished anything yet. Maybe when you accomplish something, then you get paid.
You
And
should
plus
put
it's
your
a-
resume in with the Pirates.
It's
'cause
a
you
timing
work-
thing.
You work for
Hold
the
it, we
Pirates.
got an announcement. Devin Shea, Penn score. Gino, what did we talk about earlier?
Big time
Alan
players.
called it.
We
Big
got
time
it,
players.
baby. I
Alan
said I
called
had,
it.
had that feeling there.
That's right.
And
Russian-
Smoking Jim, I didn't bet a house on it.
Russian
I bet
versus
nothing.
Russian versus Russian.
Okay, well, one Ruski got it in. So that's
Yeah,
good.
let's just hope
Thanks,
our,
Devin
our,
Shea.
our risky outscores theirs.
And a shout out to Chris Satter, who's with us tonight in the control room. And Tessa's moving up. She's in the control room there. Whoa! And we're losing this. Hold on.
Lacrosse players are leaders.
There we go.
Tessa, the sky's the limit for you, young lady.
Well, we appreciate your help as volunteers, and anybody's welcome to come out here if they want to learn a little bit about it. See Dave Cable.
I'd like to see her work on being a field goal
You know,
kicker.
before we run out of time here, and I know time's getting short, you know,
Yes,
we
it
do
is.
have to mention that, you know, there was a lot of hubbub coming out of Oakland after the Pitt Panthers beat
Wow.
Duke this past Sunday. And I still think, even with Pitt Panthers beating Duke, I still don't believe that they are an NCAA tournament team this year, even though their RPI is it's about 39. So
Yeah.
in a 64 team tournament, you know, they would fall in. But, you know, you look at what the criticisms of Pitt have been. I think they're 12-1 in their non-conference schedule. But basically, they played barber colleges and the Little Sisters of the Poor. They didn't beat anybody. And, you know, they were 1-6, I believe, against the 7 ranked teams that they've played this year. And, you know, unless they do something in the ACC tournament, which I personally don't see them doing, I don't see them as being an NCAA tournament team. And if they are, one and done.
If Brian Luther gets hot, pick and do something in the ACC tournament. I like that kid.
Well, it still was a huge win against Duke.
Well,
You know, that's the
it
thing.
may
Now,
have saved Jamie Dixon's job.
right, and whatever they do, we don't really know what will happen here, and you know they haven't shown much. We know that. I listen to Dick Grote, and you know he's always being outraged about if they just do some fundamentals and you know not give the ball away and make some shots, make some baskets, and
Yeah, you know.
so they do need some help. And yeah, it's nice to get 20 wins every season. Like
Yeah,
you said,
when-
the quality of
Yeah,
opponents.
when 12 of them are against high school teams, you know, you're playing Division I college.
Well, go Pitt. We hope they win. You know, we're Pittsburgh fans here, as you know. Anything else, Smoking Jim? What else you got on your plate there?
Well, Saturday, as everybody know, I hate Penn Hills with a passion. And Saturday, Alderdice gets a chance to play Penn Hills at North Allegheny. And I'm breaking my tradition of never going to North Allegheny just to see this 50-point whooping that Alderdice puts on Penn Hills. It's worth it. Hey, Angel Schifino, I'll cheer for your nephew, but I won't cheer for anybody else from Penn Hills.
Wow, you know how to cover all bases, Smoking Jim, and it's baseball season, and you failed on the baseball front. You already got in an argument, and we're even.
Hey,
It's
you know what? It's
preseason.
all good nature. I am gonna educate Jim Frazier about the ins and outs of baseball, and you know, and he's gonna be like a broken record all year.
How can you educate me? You don't even know Roberto Clemente's black.
Dominican.
Puerto Rican, Smoking Jim. I don't know how you do it, but somehow you're welcome wherever you go. He's one of the nicest guys that you'll ever meet. What he talks about, I just think it's trying to stir up some people. I'm not buying into it. Well, maybe a little bit, because he keeps losing those big bets, but he won't lose on the dice. There's no doubt about it. The dice, they're going all the way, Alder Dice.
Yep,
Check it out.
We've
you
been
know.
we've been touting them all season long. You know, nothing would make me happier than seeing them win
I
states.
got on my green.
This is, you can't even bet on this thing. This is one of those special times. Smoking Jim's a known gambler. Don't listen to that. Don't start gambling if you haven't. If you did, stop and don't take his advice. So thanks, Smoking Jim Frazier, for being on the show tonight, providing some of your insights, a lot of that fiction. Chip the Prophet Hayner, thanks for all the insights and facts. I appreciate that. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. Thanks for watching our show. And will you please stay Joey strong? Support the Joey Fabus Foundation.